Okay, folks, Noel and I are back with a quick little 6 yard line. Uh, we won't call it a podcast, we'll just call it a little clip. And it's with today's announcement, or depending on this post, Tuesday's announcement from Liverpool's man himself, Mo Salah, um, announcing he's leaving the club at the end of the season. I did not necessarily see that coming. You could tell he probably hasn't been as happy this year as we've seen in the past under all the changes that are happening with the club. But I figured, we'd still have at least one more year of Mo in red on the right hand side. Um, but maybe conversations were had behind the scenes, and they kind of told him like, look, next season you will be coming off the bench more than anything else, and he felt that wasn't what he wanted. And they like I think this would have been something that him and the club had an agreement on, that he can leave at the end of the season, right? Because I'm pretty sure he had one more year left on the deal. Don't quote me on that.
He does.
Right.
He does.
So I don't know how all that's being worked out, and truthfully, I don't care. I'm not going to sit here because I've seen some people say some like, "Oh, can't believe the club's letting him walk away for nothing." For me, Mo Salah's given the club so much in his 10 years with the club. Two Premier League titles, Champions League titles, a bunch of other trophies, FA Cup, Carabao Cup. Like, you know what? If he was ready to go, we've gotten the best out of him that you could have asked for, right? And it's time that we like it in many ways. You do need to start looking at going in a different direction regardless. He's not getting any younger, he's not getting any quicker. You have seen a major drop off in his performance. Now, don't get me wrong, the numbers aren't as the goals may not be as big, but he's still producing, but maybe not what works, the expectations people have had in the past. But this is not a negative, little clip. This is just, for me as a Liverpool fan, this is my way of just saying thank you. Everything you brought for this club, like I said, all those trophies, the good times, like, prior to Mo, there was a lot of hard times with this club. Like the only joy was the Champions League comeback against uh, AC Milan, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of mess up, the Steven Gerrard year when he slipped, and then that came back to haunt us when Chelsea ended up winning. Like there's been a lot of hard years. But in the Mo era, I've had more joy of watching this club. So thank you for what you brought to this club. The fan base the real fans appreciate you and will accept this as it is time for the chapter to end. Um, and even some of your haters, some will have to say, you know what? May not have been a fan because of the club you played for, but we'll give you the respect and give you a little nod of the hat as you're leaving the league. So thank you. That's kind of all I really wanted to say. Is just a quick thank you and wishing him the best.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting timing. I think at the end of the day, I said it to you at the start of the season. I think he should have left at the start of the season. I think they wanted him to go, but it's one of those things in football that we debate a lot, right? When club legends age, and people don't like to, we argue about this all the time at Toronto FC. When you've got a club legend, it's hard to let them go when you can see physically they can't do anymore, or that yard pace is gone, or this is gone. It's a hard thing to accept, and a lot of we live in a world where now there is player FC, where people only support teams because a certain player plays,
Player.
and when that player leaves, they go to that team that player's gone, and I don't get that. I can't understand that. You've been around me when I've argued with a Chelsea fan that was telling me about how great Eden Hazard was and didn't know who Ronaldinho was. So, it's just a case of, I think there's never a good time for a club legend to leave, and there's never really a clear, easy path out. And at the end of the day, I think, the writing's been on the wall all season. His form's dropped off. He doesn't seem to have got on with Slot. And I think at the end of the day, it's probably right for him. I think obviously we know he's probably going to end up in the Saudi Pro League. They've got a lot of money for he's going to be in a country where he's very comfortable too. And I think that's good for him. You deserve your. You've had 10 years in the Premiership. 34 million is one of the best deals in Premier League history. So at the end of the day, when you kind of look back at it, I look back at it like 34 million. One of the things I'll always remember about this deal is Chelsea let him and De Bruyne go in the same summer. That's always one of the funniest things for me.
Yeah,
in the same summer, let De Bruyne leave and you let Salah leave.
Think about what those players ended up doing in the Premier League, and for us, we just get to look back and laugh at Chelsea being Chelsea. But that's a conversation for another day.
No, but what you got to look at it. Chelsea paid illicit payments to get other players into the club when they let the two of the best Premier League icons leave for free in De Bruyne or for nothing for De Bruyne and Salah. So,
yep.
Again, it's just he's had a great career, and you know what I mean. Like I think he deserves his rank in the top 10 of the Premier League players of all time. I think that's fair. Where it ends up at long term is there for a debate, as we always like to debate those things. But I think at the end of the day, I think the writing's been on the wall this season. I think, and it's probably you just don't want it to go south, which I think sometimes if you stay too long and you get disgruntled legends, it's just it's not good for everyone. It ends up tarnishing the reputation and the legacy, right? So it's a good time.
Exactly. It probably was the perfect time. The club is going I think we've seen it with a lot of the acquisitions that were made in the off season. The club is moving in a new direction. It's I saw somebody post up a picture of I'm assuming it was a team that essentially the year we won the Champions League, right? Because you had like Gini Wijnaldum, you had Henderson, you had all those guys, Joel Matip, all of them in the photo. And I think now we have all that's left is Andy Robertson and Allison, right? At a certain point, you have to move on. You have to, right? And the reality is maybe last season at the end of the season was the right time. I see why they re-signed him with all the pressure of the Van Dijk, him and Trent. If you were to only have signed one, it would have looked like a slap in the face. Having 2 out of 3 helped with a fan base perspective, right? So, you know what? You still got something out of him this year when you weren't really getting numbers across the board from your front 3. He was still yes, Ekitike is scoring goals, don't get me wrong, but he's also missed some games with health. And then he might be more hot and cold than consistent, right? Salah, definitely numbers dropped off, but he was still producing when we needed him. So, like I said, time to say goodbye. He's kind of going off on his own terms. It's not he's not staying too long in the sense of where you are just a problem, cancer in the locker room. The club's forced to play you because of who you are, and when they need to move in, this is the best way to do it. He can walk away. The club can prepare for the future after Salah, right? You see the writings on the wall for both Robertson and Allison. Their heir appearance are already with the club, right? So you have to be ready for the next phase of Liverpool. So that's it. Nothing else really to say. Again, all the best to you, Mo Salah, you and your family. If you end up in the Saudi League, enjoy your time. I would like you to come to MLS for a year or two, but I just don't see your family wanting to go to the US to live. So I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, that's it for me. You good, Noel?
I'm good.
Again, as usual, hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, and leave us a comment or two. Peace out, guys.